Hey guys, Len here. Today I'm making a video to share with you my father's watches. And I was going to include in this the scene from Pulp Fiction, which you may be familiar with. If not, just go on YouTube and search the Pulp Fiction watch scene. And I want to talk, more importantly than talking about my father's watches, because as you'll see, they're nothing terribly special, certainly not as special as the watch in Pulp Fiction. They do represent three things I want to talk about with watches. And those things are an heirloom, a legacy, and an inheritance. So I hope you'll stick around and watch this whole video. I have some really cool shots that me and Evan worked really hard on. And if you're not subscribed, then I hope that today is the day I earn your subscription. So what we're looking at here is what I guess we could call a watch collection. Certainly my father didn't see it that way. That was his everyday wear right there. This, as you can tell by the second hand of that, is a very simple quartz watch, and we put the NATO strap on there. I thought that the red and black really complemented the dial really well, and it's certainly better than the fake leather strap that my dad had on there. And I just want to show you that this is not an expensive watch, and it's not even in that great of a shape. This is an AccuTime. It's got a Japanese movement in it, apparently. I don't know anything else about this watch, but this watch really represents who my dad was. He was a very simple, very much not a person into luxury, but a person who was into something functional and something of value. Now, this is my father's dress watch that unfortunately he never really got to enjoy. This was given to him as a gift. Again, this is a lovely quartz Longines, and my father was a retiree from 3M, and this was his 25-year award. And he never enjoyed it, unfortunately. He couldn't really get the bracelet to adjust properly to his wrist, so it sat in his room. And actually a watchmaker friend of mine helped me clean it up because there was a lot of corrosion that had built up on it over the years. So his 25-year anniversary would have been 1994. And this watch is really special to me because I wore this my first day of work. I just started a new job, and my dad always kind of thought that I was a bit of a job hopper. And I thought, this new job that I have, I want it to really be the last job I ever have. So I thought maybe as a sign of the longevity that my father showed and that I wish to have in my own career, I'll wear his 25th anniversary watch, and maybe it'll bring me a little bit of luck here. And so we took some of these cool macro shots outside just to kind of show that this watch has really become my son Evan's watch. Evan is 13, and he got to deer hunt with his grandpa for the first and only time last year, as my dad passed away on April 3rd. He had a really unfortunate accident at his workplace that broke his back, and ultimately he ended up dying from his injury about a week later. And Evan, who is not much of a watch person, really, has fallen in love with this watch. And you can see by the macro shots of it that it is a very, very well-worn watch. And when I look at this Longines, it sort of makes me sad that my dad never really enjoyed this watch, or he never really got to enjoy it because he couldn't make it fit quite right. But you can see by this AccuTime, the brass that's wearing through the chrome plating on there, it is worn heavily. I've tried to find some photos of my dad wearing this watch, and I've failed to do so. But he wore this watch. This was his everyday. It was his everyday watch. But I look at this Longines and I think, what a beautiful watch, and it's really kind of too bad that he didn't get to enjoy it. But I get to enjoy it, and my son gets to enjoy his everyday watch. And this is the thing with when we talk about an heirloom, what is an heirloom? What is a legacy? What is an inheritance? Let's just talk for just a minute about what those are. So an heirloom is a valuable object that's belonged to a family for several generations, and this can be anything from a watch like these to a piece of jewelry or a family Bible. An inheritance, this is the practice of passing down private property to loved ones after death. And a legacy is something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or a predecessor from the past. It can be property, personal property, but can also be it can also be values. It can also be the things that you hold dear in your life. Like my father was a hunter, and certainly hunting is what we would say his legacy. I think as watch collectors, sometimes it might be in the back of our minds, what's going to happen to my watch collection after I die? And maybe you're like me, you collect more budget watches. Maybe you have that one grail watch that you've saved your whole life for, and you wonder, what is the future of that watch? What's going to happen to that thing once the Lord has called me home? And I think of that often. I want my children to look at these watches and remember me fondly as, I remember when Dad wore this to my graduation, or I remember when, Dad, wore this, and whatever the situation was. That's certainly the hope that I have for my watch collection. But ultimately, these things could end up at a thrift store, right? I mean, you can go on shopgoodwill.com and see the amount of luxury watches that are just donated by some unknowing family member. So are you educating your family about your watches, what they are, what their value is, what you would ultimately like them to be, whose wrist you would like them on after you've passed away? I think it's something that, while we maybe don't like to think about those things, it's something we probably should be thinking about. So if you've watched this far, I really hope that you have that you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the meager but priceless inheritance that I received from my father in these watches. And I also wear his class ring every day. And, these are very special to me. So if you've watched this long, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we will see you on the next one.